Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit ActiveDay.com to apply.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show here from the Ameristar in Council Bluffs, Iowa, just across the river from Omaha, Nebraska, where LSU will play for an 8th national championship coming up on Saturday. They'll take on the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers at 6 o'clock Saturday, 1:30 first pitch on Sunday, and if necessary, 6:30 on Monday in a potential Game 3. LSU will be the home team in Game 1 and Game 3. Coastal Carolina will be at home in Game 2. That is predetermined to this point. So, excited to get over there on Saturday, but we got a lot of work to do here in the meantime. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef, top 1% in all of America. That's the kind of beef we're talking about here, and I'm not guessing. They score this. The intramuscular fat content scores indicate just how good beef is, and if your beef is greater than 9% intramuscular fat score, then it's prime, and you're talking about animals that have been ultrasound in Sagrera Farms that are 12, 14, 16 on that scale. Truly some of the best beef in the nation is just outside of Baton Rouge. If you'd like to pack your freezer with whole cows or with sides, which is a side of beef, half the cow, contact my guy Sean Sagrera, 719-1723, 719-1723, and say, hey, I'd like to fill my freezer with some of the finest steaks, ground beef, chuck roasts in the world. He can do that for you over at Sagrera Farms. You know, last night was really special to watch for a number of reasons. But when you follow the team as a beat writer and covering them on this show, I hear a lot of quotes. I listen to all the press conferences. I listen to players talk before games, after games, in the middle of the week. I hear Jay Johnson talk, and you pick up on storylines and some things that that materialize over the course of a season and over the course of a couple years. And Jared Jones' story is awesome. He felt like, I might add incorrectly, but felt like he was not a huge contributor on the 2023 National Championship team. And he did not start a game in Omaha. So if that's what he's judging this by, then he's correct, but I would stand to suggest that when you hit 300 and you start 40 games and you hit 13 home runs, that you have a big piece of that season that's you're doing. And he's part of the reason LSU got a top 8 national seed in 2023 as a freshman. And that's part of the reason they got to Omaha, and it's part of the reason they won a national championship. Just because he didn't hit 3 home runs in Omaha doesn't mean he didn't play a huge part, but maybe his feeling that way has LSU where they are now, because he decided to come back based on the fact that he wanted one of the teams that he was a centerpiece on to go to Omaha and compete for a national championship. And that's why he came back for his junior year. He was a draft-eligible sophomore. He could have gone to the MLB draft last year. He didn't. He came back, continued to work on his game, and he was a monster reason why LSU got to Omaha. And then it's what you do when you get here. Legacies in Baton Rouge, because of the tradition of that program, are built in this city. Like, we just don't remember a lot of stuff that happens in April. We don't. I couldn't tell you what Cade Beloso did in 2023 in April. I don't even know if he was in the lineup every day. I have no idea. It was 2 years ago. I know he did in Omaha. He built an extra inning home run and helped beat Florida, Game 1 of the championship series. That's when legacies are defined here. I can't give you much information on Paul Skeen's outing against Vanderbilt or Florida, whenever that was that LSU played. They didn't play Florida that year until the end. But I can tell you what he did in Omaha. I can tell you he dominated Tennessee, and he took on Rhett Lauder and Wake Forest. And like that, I'm not going to remember a lot of what Bear Jones did outside of maybe the home run at 1 o'clock in the morning against Tennessee. But I will tell you that when he got to Omaha, he's had 3 of the biggest swings, quite literally, in program history. I'm not going to put it right there with Warren Morris and Brad Cressy. But you talk about Tommy White's hit. Yeah. Jared Jones hitting a 3-run homer against UCLA when you're down 4-1, when you're down 3-1, and giving you the lead in the first inning of that game is massive. And then coming back last night and homering off Gabe Gackle, who had struck him out 4 times this week. Monster swing. And then you needed more. And he comes up against Aiden Jimenez, who also has a really good slider, and wins the game with a line drive single to center field. And y'all know this story by now because you're paying such close attention to this team in Omaha. But you know that Jared Jones went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts in the first game of the College World Series. And we'll probably remember that too. And you know that after practice on Sunday, he and Jay Johnson were the only 2 guys on the field taking BP, working on sliders. That pitching machine that you see in the tweet that I sent out and whatever video that you've seen, like that pitching machine was set on the slider setting. And Jared Jones just hitting the balls the other way, talking to Jay Johnson. This is not completely out of character. Like, they do that quite often in Baton Rouge. But everything's amplified this time of year in this city. And Jared Jones caught up to Gackle's fastball for the home run, but he got a slider from Jimenez, and he didn't try to pull off it or roll over it or hit it over the fence. He dove out over the plate, got the barrel to the backside of the baseball, and drove it into center field for the game-winning hit. And it's what he was working on 4 days previous. And all of these things are just as Jared Jones hoped for, what he dreamed of when he made the decision, 1, to come to LSU, and then 2, to come back for his 3rd year. And there's a redemption side of that with the 0 for 5 or 5 strikeouts, with the ball getting past him at first base last night to let the go-ahead run score in the 9th inning. And he redeemed himself every time. And that's just an incredible story to sit there and watch. I've got a column up on LouisianaSports.net right now that kind of details all of this and kind of what I've seen from Jared Jones. But how do you not feel so good for that guy? I mean, it's not like this is his only legacy. Like, this is a guy that is 3rd all-time in home runs at LSU. This year, he passed Blake Dean, and he passed Dylan Cruz. He passed Albert Bell, and he passed Trey McClure. Like, he passed some of the legends of LSU baseball in home runs. The only 2 guys that stand ahead of him on the all-time home run list are Eddie Furness and Brad Cressy, and those 2 guys played 4 years. So Jared Jones is bordering on legendary status at LSU when you consider where he's climbed to on the home run list, the fact that he might be a 2-time national champion, and then you look at what he's done here in Omaha with this team where he is a centerpiece when he didn't feel like one 2 years ago. This is an incredible story that we're watching here. And I talked about it consistently over the course of the week. Like, you're probably not going to get a Derek Curiel or Stephen Milam 4 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 singles from Jared Jones. You're probably going to get a strikeout. But how much damage can he do on his 2 swings, on his 1 swing? And to homer off Gackle, who's just a star, was incredible. And Jimenez has been one of their guys for Arkansas. And you knew that he was going to spin it and spin it and spin it and spin it. And Jared Jones' approach and his execution for what he's worked on to become a better hitter translated in the biggest moment of the season. It's incredible. Just incredible stuff from a guy who's worked his butt off and has been a monster producer for LSU. And I don't really care on Saturday if he's in the 2-hole, the 6-hole, wherever. I'm not as big on kind of lineup shifting and shaping. I think you just got to go get hits, and LSU's lineup is deep enough so that it should be stressful on a pitcher in every inning. And I think trying to forecast who's going to be coming up in the 6th inning or what, that's just tough to do in a baseball game. It never goes to script. But Jared Jones will be in there on Saturday. and I'll feel pretty good when he's in the box because he's got a chance to do some real damage. And he's done that here with a couple of huge home runs. There aren't a lot of balls flying out of that ballpark. Helfrich and Jones had to get all those to get out of the ballpark last night. But Jerry Jones can do it, and he's done it here, and it's been just incredible to watch him perform and know what he's gone through and the decisions that he's made that have led to this moment. So Jerry Jones, big hat tip for me, and I know that he's got a lot of fans in purple and gold after what he did over the week here in Omaha. So let's take a time out. When we come back, Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, was on the call, has been for every game here in Omaha. His broadcast partner bailed after the home run, which I just thought was hilarious. Love the Duggar when he gets emotional. He just got to get out of there. But he did last night. But Blair was all over. Did a great job, and he'll jump aboard when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. How does a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty sound? It's as good as you're going to find in the industry. 10 years, 100,000 miles. How about 3 years of complimentary maintenance? Make that complimentary valet maintenance. You don't want to spend the morning sitting there watching The Price is Right while they attempt to work on your vehicle? Well, don't. Let them come to you, pick your vehicle up. They'll leave you a loaner so you can get on about your day. And then they'll handle your maintenance. When it's done, they'll bring it right back to you. You never lift a finger. That's the convenience of being a Genesis driver. Check out the inventory. All of it's online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Go by and see them. Airline at Pico. It's a phenomenal facility, conveniently located. If you're buying a vehicle in Baton Rouge, you're probably on Airline Highway anyway. Go check them out, Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find the entire inventory online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Ameristar at Council Bluffs, Iowa, just across the river from Charles Schwab Field, Omaha, Nebraska. If you're coming up to Omaha and you're looking for something to do potentially on Saturday before first pitch, come on out and see the tables here at the Ameristar. They got great gaming floor and sports book right here. The ESPN Bet Sportsbook's got a bajillion TVs. You can get some cash down on the College World Series and get something cold to drink, something good to eat as well. I spent a lot of time in that sports book over the last week. I've also spent a lot of time over at Charles Schwab Field. So is this man, Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, good enough to give us a little bit of time. Have you recovered from that one, Chris?
Yeah, I tell you what, it was. I wasn't up with the Roosters. Let me just say that this morning. I mean, it was. I literally got back to the hotel room and I'm like, wow, okay. I tried to unpack all of that. What happened? And then I think the last time I saw the clock, it was like 3:50. And then sometime after that, I eventually woke up today. But man, oh man. I mean, that's just crazy. I went back and just started looking at the box score and going through the play-by-play online. And when you look at what LSU did in the final two innings, offensively, when you just had to have it. I mean, again, you had to have some good fortune, and goodness knows Arkansas helped us out there. But, the runs that were scored, the key hits, and you said it a bunch. And I want to thank you again for joining us on the air and helping us with the broadcast. You did a great job. But, I mean, you said it a bunch of times in the first two games that LSU played, against teams like this, especially very good defensive teams. Just put the barrel on the ball and blast it, whether it's on the ground, a line drive, wherever. And I think that really helped contribute. You look at Hernandez's hit. I mean, that was a nasty line drive flying in at Davalon. And you got to make a split-second decision on how you're going to handle that. Yep, you're up 2 runs. Maybe you put on the brakes, take it on a bounce, give up the run, and live to fight again and hopefully get the win later. Or you go in and try to be a hero. And I don't envy being in that position, anybody in that position. And then you see Bahiva Aloy, many people argued is the best shortstop in college baseball, and there's certainly a good argument for that. I saw the baseball bounce towards him, and I thought, okay, let's get ready for Thursday. And when he turned and pivoted and threw it to third, I thought, well, there's still a chance. And, that's the beauty of this game. There's no clock, and you got to get the outs, and Arkansas couldn't get it. And then to have Jared Jones do what he did After I know not just struggling in the first game against Arkansas last Saturday, but just the postseason in general. For him to go with those 3 big hits, I mean, and I go back, Hunt, and I think things were destined to be LSU's way because his first at-bat or his first hit of the night, he just kind of reached the bat out there. I don't even know if he got a full swing on it. I mean, he just literally pushed it out to left field because that's what LSU needed. And then for him to be able to deliver the home run to tie it, and then, of course, what he did at the end of the game, I mean, I just couldn't be happier for the young man and happier for this group of Tigers. And, Todd Polite sent me an incredible stat last night. I'm sure he probably tweeted it out, but there's not been many times in this great program's history that they've been able to do what they did last night, and that is be down 2+ runs in the ninth and be able to win it. And to do it in Omaha in that stage against that team, holy cow.
It was something. I agree with Jay. He said they slayed a giant. I know Arkansas doesn't have the hardware, but they got the talent, and that's a hard team to beat. And LSU found a way to do it 4 times in 5 games, which is amazing. Playing the role of Caleb Gilbert and Nate Ackenhausen, Zach Cowan last night. Your thoughts on that performance and that spot after the month he's had?
Yeah, I know. You almost feel like you need to lead with that because you don't want that to be lost in what happened in the latter part of the game. But yeah, I mean, you pick a name and you go with Ackenhausen. I saw your tweet last night, and again, that's what you got to have. And it's something we've all said every time that you get to Omaha. I mean, you got to have somebody who again, Zach's not a guy who we've been questioning all season. I mean, he was nails until really the last month. In fact, it was the Arkansas series, maybe arguably his best outing before last night. And goodness knows you got to have it. I mean, you think back to that first game of that series in Baton Rouge, it was Gabe Gackle and Zach Cowan going toe-to-toe late into that game into extra innings. And LSU was able to get the win because of the ability of Zach Cowan to hold the rope. And he was asked to do it again last night in a starting role, and I think he gave you what Jay Johnson and Nate Yeske were wanting, and then some. And, so I'm glad you brought that up because Zach Cowan is a big piece as to why LSU is going to the championship series.
I know that you spend a lot of time with Jay Johnson. You certainly watch this team throw every pitch, and I'm fascinated by the chess moves that he makes, whether it was that you go into Jake Brown against Gackle, whether it's when to get Ianson up or when to not get him up, and thinking about Thursday while you're playing Wednesday. I mean, what did you like about the way that Jay Johnson played his cards last night?
Yeah, it was masterful, and, coaches make decisions like that all the time, and again, it all matters. It all is determined on what the final outcome is. But when you look at, again, the talent that is assembled for LSU, that you can't put them all on the field at the same time. And somebody will get hot and somebody will go into a little bit of a slump. And there's always that first reaction to, okay, just go with this guy every day. And Jay's not like that. And I think that's really probably his best asset as a coach is to, okay, this is the plan we're going to take going into the game, and this is the lineup we're going with, and this is the rotation we see coming. But his ability to go, okay, didn't work quite like we wanted it to. Now we've got a little change in the game. We're either up or we're down, and we're at this point of the game, and this is the move I'm going to make. I trust him. I mean, I've said it for, several weeks now. I mean, in Jay, we trust. When it comes to LSU baseball. Doesn't mean every move that he makes is going to work, and he'd be the first to tell you that. But there's always plenty of data, plenty of analysis, and plenty of information that goes to him making those decisions. And that's why, you mentioned a couple of moves last night that I thought were huge, and none bigger than, that move to go to Jake Brown. I mean, just simply because he's been red hot. He's a guy that is proven he can go from sitting right there on the bench to hopping up, taking a few swings on the on-deck circle, and then getting the job done at the plate, and he does it again. And, I think that's what probably opposing coaches probably dread more than anything else, Hunt, when taking on LSU, is that, okay, here's the starting lineup. Our guys are really playing well against them, but he can make a change either in the field or at the plate or out of the bullpen that a lot of teams can't make. And I think he does a very good job of it. And, I saw him yesterday before the game, cool as a cucumber because he had the plan. and then for him to be able to make the moves he does within a given game, again, not out of a knee-jerk reaction. Everything is always kind of calmly decided upon. And, I just think back about how lucky we are to have Jay Johnson running this program. And I get it. I'm biased. I'm purple and gold lenses, blah, blah. Hey, I get it. But when you see a guy that cares about his team, his player, and I think more importantly, Hunt, the game of baseball and how it needs to be presented and how it needs to be played and how it needs to be treated. And to see him going up to some of the Arkansas players last night, immediately following a game when their heart is literally ripped out and stomped on that field, tells me all I need to know about Jay Johnson. And then, as you said, the very respectful words in the press conference about, again, Arkansas kind of being the program when he got to LSU. That's who we got to chase. That's who we got to beat. And to give that kind of respect to your opponent is really, I hate to say it, it's kind of a fading thing these days.
I'm curious because they've heard from me, who was born in these colors, and we heard from Joe Healy in the first hour, who's just an objective journalist who didn't go to any SEC school, and then and we both agree about the kind of the mystique that LSU carries in this town. You've now been at this a decade here. Like, what are your thoughts on how LSU is able to rise to the occasion, this place so very often?
It's just amazing. 6 College World Series walk-off in program history. They've been here 20 times. I mean, that's pretty amazing. 6 College World Series walk-offs. I mean, it seems like when the Tigers come here, even those who are objective, who have no bias, they kind of understand that crazy things happen when LSU is in the College World Series, and you never count them out. You think back to 17. I mean, there were certainly some days here in Omaha where it looked like, all right, we made it here, and it's just not going to work out, and we'll head on back. And you make it to the championship series. 2023, I mean, they had to fight their way, not only out of the loser's bracket, but they had to play some pretty daggone good teams, if you remember, to get to the championship series, and then played another really good team and got walloped in game 2 and came back and gave a wallop in game 3. I mean, it's uncanny, the history of LSU and Omaha in the College World Series. And, again, last night, Jared Jones and his Tigers, along with Zach Cowan and Jake Brown and Luis Hernandez and Stephen Milam with, I think, one of the best defensive plays I've seen in a long time early in the game on that sliding backhand to get Aloy out at first base. I mean, that's just what you kind of come to expect when the Tigers show up in the Heartland.
It's been impressive. Last one, I got back to the hotel last night, finished up doing some writing, and then I went back and looked at the stream of you and Bill and Doug in the box. I wanted to hear the call and see the reaction, and Doug did not disappoint. He bolted again, just like the Tommy White homer. I was cackling in my room at 1 o'clock in the morning. Great call, first of all, and second of all, Doug is cracking me up that he just can't contain himself when something good like that happens.
No, I mean, he gets so worked up, and you get it. I mean, he played. I mean, he certainly has that advantage way over me. And he's part of that special group of Tigers who've obviously played and won a national championship. And, I think he just gets so worked up that he gets a little crazy with what might come out of his mouth, that could be understood or not understood at that point. So, I mean, we have fun. I mean, we had fun Saturday and Monday. I mean, it's the best job in the world. And I certainly don't take it for granted. And it's just amazing, and I get to work with great people who have so much passion for the Tigers, and you get moments like that. You don't, when he finally came back into the room and we went into a timeout, I said, I need you to kind of stay here because I'm not real sure what I said, and I need somebody to let me know if I said anything wrong or off color or blue or something that's going to get me fired. So I need somebody to stay in the room with me. But hey, it was fun.
Nothing blue. It was all good last night, all good in purple and gold. So we've been here a week. Let's do it a little bit longer, Chris. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, I'm waving to you across the river here from my hotel room. I don't know if you can see me, but let's stay a little bit longer. Sounds good to me.
All right, Chris, appreciate it. That is Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. I'm headed back over to Omaha here shortly. Going to go get some dinner this evening. I'll spend a lot of time in the hotel, which has been great, but now that I feel like we've got a little bit of time to breathe and it's not just game after game after game after game, go and enjoy the town a little bit. And if you are coming to Omaha, I just made this decision. I'm going to write a little guide to Omaha for LouisianaSports.net a little bit later. There's a lot of baseball content up at LouisianaSports.net right now. You can read my column on Jared Jones, read my game story from last night. I've got a great piece, not because my writing was great, because Jay was incredible on Off the Bench this morning. If you missed his interview with Flynn and Hester this morning, he talked about all the moves that he made last night and why he did it. And I kind of took those quotes and applied them to the game situation. So if you'd like to read that, it's for free on LouisianaSports.net right now. But as I said, I'm going to write a guide to Omaha. I'm not part of the Omaha Chamber of Commerce. I'm not an expert on all things Omaha, but between 2009, 2012, 2013, 2023, and 2025, I've been here 4 trips, and I've been here for more than 2 weeks. So I've got a reasonable idea of some of the things to do, especially around the ballpark. So if you're headed to Omaha and would like just to kind of tip, you're kind of coming up here blind, like I'm just going to see the Tigers, what do I do? I'll help you out a little bit with some of that, and certainly the Ameristar here in Council Bluffs will be included. They've got a great sports book that's just to my right here. It's got all the games on. Unfortunately, a lot of the TVs right now are on the Cubs getting their butts kicked by the Brewers, and we don't like that. But it's a great sports book to come hang out in. They got a great gaming floor as well. My room's been phenomenal, and it's just a quick Uber, about $10 and about 5 minutes across the river to the stadium. So it's been awesome for me here, and appreciate all the folks that have made that possible. That is, of course, Our Lady of the Lake, Yingling, and GoFlow IV Spot. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Beef. Let's talk some more baseball. We'll take a time out, come back, and do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety can be a big deal when it comes to the bathroom. It can be a hazardous spot, especially as folks age. So if there's someone in your life that you'd like to mitigate that risk against, slips and falls can be a real hazard. Call David Vaughn and his team. They do this kind of stuff all the time. They can go in, put in some non-slip floors. They can put guardrails around slippery places. They can give you a walk-in tub, which is more convenient and safer. They can do showers with the bench built in. All that is right in their purview. Check them out online at OneBathAndClosets.com. Get that free consultation. There are, of course, financing options available, 0% up to 18 months if you qualify for it. Just chat with David about it. Have that consultation. Start your process today at OneBathAndClosets.com. OneBathAndClosets.com.
Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow IV Spa and Yingling Flight. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is always brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef, top 1% in America, and it's right outside of Baton Rouge up there in Ethel. Talking about incredible intramuscular fat scores that are 9, 10, 12, 14, 16. 9 is prime. This is truly some of the best beef in America. So if you're looking to fill your freezer with some flavorful, tender beef that's a 3-year process in the making, raised on grass, finished on grain, dry-aged 45 days, and you want a whole cow or a side, they can get you fillets, ribeyes, strips, flanks, chuck roasts, all that in your freezer so you can have the finest for 4th of July, grilling season all summer long. Call my guy Sean Sagrera, 719-1723, 719-1723. Everything they got is prime, and you don't spend a cent until you've picked out exactly what it is that you want. You'll know exactly where your beef's coming from. You don't have to ask questions. You go, what is this? Is this grass raised? What corn raised? Is this? How many animals are in this pound? No, you don't have to have any questions. Consistency. Excellent product at Sagrera Farms. Some of the finest beef in America. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. We have talked about Jay Johnson's masterful use of his team last night. We've talked about Jared Jones and what a phenomenal journey he's been on. We've talked about Arkansas and their inability to make the plays when you have to make the plays at the end of games. We've talked about LSU's phenomenal defense. Stephen Milam's just been a wizard out there. Of course, you did have a couple of missed plays last night. Jared Jones, you'd like to catch that ball in the double play. Yeah, you wouldn't like to throw the ball into center field when they're stealing a base. Like, they did make some missed plays in the game, but the defense did have some spectacular efforts as well. We've talked about a lot of that. I think, and I mentioned it with Chris there in the interview in the last segment, one of the things that I haven't spent a lot of time talking about in the course of this hour and a half has been LSU's pitching last night. Zach Cowan, I thought 2 innings, 3 innings max against this lineup. I mean, this might be the best lineup in college baseball that you're facing. Eloy is a big leaguer. Davalon, to me, is a big league hitter. Maxwell is a phenomenal college hitter. Helfrich is having a great year, hit the home run last night. Even Justin Thomas at the bottom of the lineup, the freshman, who's hitting now over 300 with 10 home runs. It's a great lineup, 1 through 9, maybe the best in college baseball this year. And you ask Zach Cowan to go out there and get you off to a good start. And I tweeted this, got a lot of blowback on it. I thought at the end of the third inning, one time through the order, like that was it. Like, I don't think they need to see him a second time. Fastball's 90-91. You know, I didn't think that giving Arkansas 2 looks at him was going to be advantageous to LSU. And Zach Cowan blew right through that. He worked into the 6th inning last night, 5 1/3. Did not issue a walk, 6 strikeouts, and only gave up the 1 run on the home run by Helfrich. That was a sensational performance. And I was writing my game story for LouisianaSports.net, and this is a little bit inside baseball, but when you write a game story, you lead with the most important content. And oftentimes in a baseball game, you're going to lead with the stuff that happens in the 8th and 9th inning. Well, in this game, yeah, you're going to do that because you're talking about a game where you had 8 runs scored total between the two teams in the 8th and 9th inning. So that's where I started my story. But I realized as I was wrapping things up that, like, I got to talk about these 2 starting pitchers. And Cowan was awesome in the game. 6 strikeouts against that lineup. Oh, great. And then Jaden Newt comes in, throwing BBs, man. He faced 3 batters, got them all out, had a strikeout. Like, he looked great. And then when you felt like it was time to finish it, you went to Chase Shores. And you thought at that point, and Jay talked about this after the game, like the plan was to go Shores to Ianson to finish it if it was close and LSU had a lead. It had to be both of those things. And I mentioned that on the show yesterday, like, it's got to be both. You got to have a lead, and it's got to be close. If you have a big lead, you're not going to Ianson, and if you're behind, you're not going to Ianson. Well, they had when Brown gets a single, it's 2-1. It's time to go. So they go to Shores, and he looked awesome. 2 strikeouts right out of the chute. And then you got to credit Arkansas because it's not like Chase Shores lost his release point. It's not like he was all over the place. I mean, he hit the one guy, but he was throwing strikes, and they were hitting it. Eloy took a slider just below the knees and rifled it into left field. Thomas's swing was great. And they hit you. Sometimes it happens. They're good. But a guy that will not get any credit for last night, if I gave you a notebook and a piece of and a pen, and I said, write down the 7 most important guys from tonight, I don't think any of you would have taken that pen and written Jacob Myers. He threw 9 pitches. But he left an insurance run stranded on third base with a strikeout. So that's huge. Huge. And Myers' issue is never stuff. It's, can he throw it over the plate? And in the biggest moment of his career, they asked Jacob Myers to go out there, and he threw 7 strikes in 9 pitches. That's what you had to have. You've got to have some of these guys step up in a College World Series if you're going to win it. And LSU would have loved to win the bracket in 3 games by going Anderson, Ianson, Evans. But rain didn't allow for that. You had to go back with Evans after the delay on Tuesday, so you were compromised in Game 3. Now you had a game to play with, so you just move forward. But it was not a good break. and it meant you were going to have to go a little bit further down the line with your pitching staff, and you knew that those names were likely Cowan, Newt, and Myers. Cooper Williams is in that discussion. DJ Primo's in that discussion. But these were the guys you were going to have to go to. And to me, job well done. Shores hit one guy with the slider. Beyond that, you want to see this stat? LSU did not issue a walk in 9 innings against Arkansas. None. 0. That is nails by the back end of your pitching staff. I expect that from Anderson and Ianson. But for Newt, Shores, Myers, guys that at times have lost their command, less so Newt, but certainly Shores and Myers, to not put anybody on via the base on balls, just one hit by pitch, that's incredible. Incredible. You faced 38 Arkansas hitters and didn't walk a single one of them. And I just think that deserves its own segment here to talk about, because that's not doing that against Louisville, who Coastal just beat. That's not doing that against Murray State. You had to go through, as Jay Johnson said it last night, and I completely agree, a giant. I know it's an empty trophy case over there in Fayetteville. I know. That does not take the talent off of that field. It's immense. It's loaded. And LSU stared them right between the eyes on Saturday with your ace, and then on Wednesday with the back end of your staff, and beat them. And you beat Root, and you beat Gackle, and you beat Jimenez. You beat Gibbler. That's the best they got to offer. The only guy you didn't see from Arkansas is Gage Wood. You saw him in Baton Rouge and chased him after 2 innings. Arkansas's got a little bit of an LSU problem. They've never beaten LSU in Omaha. I think now 0-6 in Omaha. And I'm not going to spend a lot more time moving forward talking about Arkansas because it's all Coastal now and it's trying to win a championship, and that's what this program is built on. But I think it is worthwhile to take a second and go, man, Dave Van Horn has built a power program at Arkansas, and they cannot beat LSU. And Jay Johnson said in his press conference last night, when I got the job, I felt like we had to try to catch Arkansas. And I will tell you a candid story about an interaction that I had with Jay Johnson. It was after LSU had won the 2023 National Championship, and I was walking to the first home football game of 2023, and I ran into Jay. And I asked him a question about Arkansas starting fall baseball so early because I'd gotten a picture from a beat writer on Twitter that said Arkansas was starting. I knew LSU didn't start for 5 more weeks. And we started talking about Arkansas, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just feel like we're trying to catch them." And keep in mind, LSU just won the national championship, and he felt like we're just trying to catch them. Well, I don't think you got to have that conversation anymore. You won it in 23. You've gone right through them in 2024 and beaten them 4 times in 5 games, and now you're playing for another national championship. So LSU to me is the standard, and I know that Tennessee wants to beat its chest, and they've certainly won more games than anybody over the last 4 seasons. And that's a giant of a program. But guess what? Arkansas punked them 2 weeks ago, and then LSU turned around and did it right back to the Hogs. So you tell me who feels like they're top of the pile. That's what it feels like to me. All right, one more segment to go. We'll take a timeout, come back and close things up. It's a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal folks to work with on the insurance front. And one of the things that they pride themselves on is their ability to handle captives. And if you're a sizable company that feels like you're paying way too much for commercial insurance, this could be a game changer for you. If you've never had your insurance broker mention a captive or show you what that might look like, it's worth looking into, I can promise you. It's a completely different way to manage your risk inside your insurance program. And if you've never looked at it, let Jonathan Carbo and his team come and tell you how that might look. They deal with it all the time. Go check them out at HighlandIG.com. Say, hey, I heard Hunt talking about captives. What's the deal? Jonathan's happy to walk you through that. It's the Highland Insurance Group. They're based in Baton Rouge, can help you out wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. Check them out online, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com.
Live from Omaha, powered by Our Lady of the Lake, Championship Health for everybody, and presented by GoFlow Ivy Spa and Yingling Flight. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Shout out to the folks at Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef. Every cow, 3-year journey, raised on grass, finished on grain, dry-aged 45 days. Where can you find that? Very, very few places. If you're tired of having questions about the meats that you purchase to bring home, whether it's ground beef, steaks, just erase those questions. Go to Sagrera Farms and get some of the finest beef in the nation. Top 1%. It's all prime there at Sagrera Farms. Call my guy Sean, 719-1723. Again, that's 719-1723. It is Sagrera Farms. All right, back. We got one more order of business. Let's do some take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it or do now.
You want to talk about Yingling, Hunt?
Oh, I forgot to do that, didn't I? I'm sitting here trying to look at equipment going, I can't hear back. I'd love to talk about Yingling because it's awesome. And it's hot outside, and there's no better beer to drink when it's hot outside than Flight by Yingling. Love it. It's awesome, cool, crisp, refreshing. Got 2 cans right here on set. You're talking 2.6 carbs, 95 calories, golf course, swimming pool, at the grill, tailgating, watching the Tigers in the championship series. You're looking for a cold beer to throw back in the summer months. Flight by Yingling. It's the best one you can buy.
All right, first one here. Not sure if you saw this, Hunt, but Kylie McDaniel just released his latest 2.0 MLB mock draft. And number 1 overall, Cade Anderson, number 1 to the Washington Nationals. That may not be that much of a surprise. And this one won't be either. The Cubs at 17 taking Wahiwa Aloy in the 17 spot there. So Anderson going number 1 overall and Aloy to the Cubs at 17. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it all. I like that. Look, Wahiwa Aloy may not know.
I'll take it.
We can teach him what base to throw to
That's
in
true.
minor leagues.
Yeah.
We'll get that figured out, and he can hit like he did against Chase Shores, like a rocket into left field. Yeah, I'll take that all day long. So not a fan of Wahiwa Aloy's college choice, but if he's selected by the Cubs and knows that he can throw it to second base to get a double play and end the game, we'll figure that out. I like that.
All righty, last one real quick. The Pacers and the Thunder, Hunt. They're tonight at 7:30, Game 6. Winner go home for the Pacers. Who do you like the Pacers? Take it or leave it?
I'll take it. I think the Pacers are good. I think the Thunder are better, but I like the Pacers team. I've watched a little bit since I've been up here and I spent a lot of time in the sports book. Y'all know that I didn't watch a ton of the playoffs, so I'm not going to sit here and proclaim I'm an expert. But I've watched a little bit of the Pacers since I've been here, and I like the way they play.
Yeah, let's see if Tyrese Halliburton's going to play because it's Game 6 of the finals and they have to, and it's a winner go home situation. It's a must-win, Hunt. This is actually a must-win game for the Pacers.
I like that, Beck.
Yes, and Tyrese Halliburton is going to play, but whether or not he can be effective is going to be the real question. But you know, in Game 5, I watched a good bit of it, and he did not make a single field goal. He scored all his points from the free throw line, and they still got to within 2 late in the fourth quarter. So, you know, as long as the other guys, Pascal Siakam, TJ McConnell had a great game. As long as those guys can step up and Tyrese Halliburton can play a little bit better than he did, and they're playing at home too. So I'm with you there. I like the Pacers as well, but that's it for take it or leave it.
Beck, let's talk about this briefly while we have 2 minutes. You know, if LSU had gotten eliminated early, I wasn't going to have to deal with this. And if LSU wins this national championship or loses it in 2 games, I'm not going to have to deal with it. Now I really have to take into grips the reality that I might be on this flight that we booked back in January on Tuesday morning. It's at 5:25 in the morning.
Yeah.
Is that good or not good?
It's not good because if they win, and if they win and you're gonna have to wake up at like 2:30 to go catch your flight, like that's gonna suck.
Yeah, and I land in New Orleans at 10, which means I'm going to have to do my show. If I land in New Orleans at 10, I can get to Guarantee for 1 o'clock. So that's going to be – I mean, if LSU wins the national championship, I'm not going to care. I probably won't go to sleep, honestly.
Yeah.
But that is an early flight.
That's tough.
Haley, we got to talk about this next time Haley's booking flights. 5:25 is just obnoxiously early.
Well, I mean,
is there an Uber here at 3 o'clock in the morning? I
Yeah.
guess there's still Ubers out at 3 o'clock in the morning because people are going in at 3 o'clock in the morning more than they're leaving.
That's true. You shouldn't have a problem finding Uber because there will probably be LSU fans out at 3 a.m. on that night. So, but yeah, maybe try to look and see if there's any other options for the flight.
How about the 2 p.m. flight? How about that? That sounds really nice.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, you won't even have to do your show. Like that seems like for you maybe the best option.
Here's what we need: Anderson dominate, Ianson dominate, kick this Sun Belt team to the curb in 2 games, and I can fly back on Monday at not 5:25 in the morning. How's that sound?
For you that sounds great. It sounds good for me too. I think because otherwise we'll have to try to piecemeal something together for the show. So that let's do that.
How much time do I have left?
You have about 45 seconds.
45 seconds. I can handle 45 seconds. You missed any of today's show reacting to LSU in Arkansas. We invite you to catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. We appreciate the great folks at the Ameristar here in Council Bluffs. We will certainly be here tomorrow for my show and then a special preview episode on Saturday getting ready for LSU and Coastal. I'll be on right here from the Ameristar just outside the Sportsbook from 2 to 4 before LSU and Coastal. Matt's about to drive you home. Have a good one. See you tomorrow. Hunt Palmer Show.